Hello, my name is Lukas Hofstätter. I am the Research and Development Officer at Carers New South Wales, and I am going to talk today about the financial well-being of older carers. I co-authored this presentation with my colleague Grace Charrington. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land. I would also like to pay respects to the elders, both past and present, and extend that respect to every Aboriginal person contributing to this conference. Carers are those who provide care and support to a family member or friend due to health reasons, be it a disability, mental illness, drug or alcohol dependency, chronic condition, terminal illness, or frailty due to old age. This definition does not include paid care workers, former volunteers, and those who provide care to a child, for instance, parents, foster carers, or kinship carers. There are around 2.65 million carers in Australia, including approximately 861,000 primary carers. This data comes from the Australian Bureau of Statistics Survey of Disability, Ageing and Caring, which was last published in 2019 and which forms the databases for the first half of this presentation. As you know, with an aging society comes an increased demand for care. 16% of the Australian population are older than 65, that is roughly 4 million people. 1.2 million of those require some form of care in their home. This comes at a cost of $18 billion to the Australian government annually, yet we know that the formally provided care is not enough. Almost every older person in need of care receives informal care. More than a third receive only informal care without professional support. That the formal aged care support does not meet the required needs has been documented extensively in the Aged Care Royal Commission. It is informal carers who fill the gaps of the aged care system. Carers come from all walks of life, and becoming a carer can happen anywhere in the life course. But increasingly, carers are 65 years or older themselves. Almost a quarter of carers is in retirement age, up from 17% 15 years ago. As we can see from the chart on the right, the proportion of carers is largest amongst those aged 55 to 64, where almost 20% of the population are carers. This chart also shows that the gender aspect of caring is strongest during prime working age, where more women than men take on the role of a carer. This is reversed in retirement age, where a bigger proportion of men relatively provide care. So altogether, there are 647,000 carers aged 65 or older in Australia, the majority of them women, providing an estimated 309 million hours of care per year. We estimated the replacement costs of this care at $18.7 billion using the calculation by Deloitte Access Economics as a basis. This is roughly equal to the cost of the entire aged care system. As can be seen on this slide, carers who are aged 65 and older are mostly providing care for 10 years or more. They are predominantly providing care to partners or parents, showing that they indeed provide mainly aged care. The long-term nature of the care provided by most carers is important because it has significant negative impacts on income levels over the life course. Financial well-being is strongly dependent on income, and taking on a caring role has a strong negative effect on those income opportunities. This data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics shows that the median income of male carers in working age is only $599, or 52% of that of a man who isn't a carer, leaving a gap of 48% of income in the median. Among female carers, the median income is $620 and the gap is 25%. These differences narrow down in retirement to 13 and 11% respectively. However, median weekly income drops to about $400 to $423. This financial disadvantage accumulates over the life course, especially in the form of diminished superannuation and other savings for carers. Consequently, in retirement, carers are much more reliant on government pensions as the main source of income compared to non-carers. There's only a slight difference between men and women in that regard. Importantly, only for 15% of carers, superannuation is the primary form of retirement income, compared to 20% among non-carers. As shown before, the inequity in terms of income is greater for working age carers. Data for this slide comes from the 2020 National Carer Survey, which was conducted from April to June this year, and in which we collected responses from more than 7,700 carers from all across Australia about experiences of financial stress, among other things. And indeed, carers aged 65 and up have fewer experiences of financial stress compared to carers of working age, despite a lower average income. Among younger carers, almost 60% experienced at least one form of financial stress in the last year. This drops to 32% among carers 65 and up. However, even among the older cohort, 20% said that, for instance, in an emergency, they could not raise $2,000 within a week, which is indicative of very low savings and the ongoing consequence of a diminished income during working age. This graph here highlights the ongoing economic impact of having provided care during working age for those who are retired. Those carers aged 65 and up who took on a caring role before retirement experienced financial stress at a significantly higher rate than those whose caring role started later in life. Unsurprisingly, financial stress has a significant impact on personal well-being. Being a carer is stressful, and carers generally report very low subjective well-being. This is compounded by the experience of financial stress. In the 2020 National Carer Survey, we measured well-being using the Personal Well-being Index, which is also used in population surveys, thus providing comparative data. While on average, Australians aged 65 and up score 75% on the Personal Well-being Index, carers of that age score only 63%. For carers who are in financial distress, which is when they experience 4 or more instances of financial stress within 1 year, this drops to 43%. Financial stress also has direct consequences for mental health and psychological distress. Measured on the Kessler Psychological Distress Scale, financial distress goes hand in hand with psychological distress. Almost 38% of carers who experience one form of financial stress have high or very high levels of psychological distress, rising to 70% among those with 4 or more financial stress experiences per year. This also affects personal health, as is shown on the right. Financially distressed carers rate the satisfaction with their health only at 40%, compared with 62% among those carers who are financially healthy. Despite the economic difficulties faced by many carers, 74% also contribute financially to the cost of care for their loved ones. The items most carers pay for are medicine and transport, which are 2 areas where more support for carers and care recipients would be rather easy to implement. In conclusion, carers aged 65 and up provide about approximately 25% of the informal care in Australia, a significant economic contribution. Most provide long-term ongoing care, 46% for 10 years or more. Disadvantage for carers accumulates over the life course in gender-specific ways, especially in the form of missed income opportunities, which translate into a lower rate of savings and thus higher reliance on government payments. Financial distress resulting from these circumstances has a significant impact on health and well-being of older carers. Their health, well-being, psychological and financial distress are worse compared with non-carers, but better compared to younger carers who are still in working age. Carers aged 65 and up are more dependent than average on the government pension, but receiving it represents an improvement for many compared to their working life experiences. The main takeaway from this presentation is that financial security is essential for sustaining caring roles, and more needs to be done both for working and for retired carers to support them and their financial and thus psychological and physical well-being. Before I end this presentation, I would like to direct you to the results of our carer survey, which can be obtained under carersnsw.org.au/research. I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I am looking forward to discussing some of the results with you in the chat.